Okay, so we're recording now. We'll start from the beginning. I've missed the stream because it's my birthday. I'm 37. I'm an old fart, and I've been watching.
Happy birthday!
Yeah. So when you get to this age, you don't want birthdays. You'll just take the chocolates and smile. But to forget about the day is definitely the way forward. But yeah, I've been watching punk rock. I've missed the stream. I've only seen what's exploded on Twitter. So Briar, you're going to have to take my hand and lead me through this forest of changes and love.
All right, well, I'm sure you've seen the major stuff on Twitter, but we're going to get into the minutia a little bit.
Yeah.
And what I really want to get is kind of our opinions on this. So the first thing is the changes to PvP in general. Revives are changing. You're going to have to be closer to a teammate to revive him. It's going to take a little bit longer. That makes it more risky, and your shielding that you get after revive, both the guy who's doing the revive and the guy who's getting revived, it's going to be less powerful. In Trials, they've actually added 2 seconds to the revive timer, so it takes 2 seconds longer to be available to be revived. And then after that, if you die again, it's an additional 7 seconds. So it's 7 seconds, then it's 14 seconds, then 21 seconds, and so on.
What do you think of this? Like, gut reaction. What was it when you heard this change?
I like it. I feel like revives are too powerful right now. They could totally change the course of a match just if somebody happens to get really lucky and does one of those drive-by revives.
Oh, God, yeah. The sprint by sliding past and then they're up. All your hard work is undone.
Right. So I really like this. I think the revive system is a little weird. Hopefully this fixes it. Obviously, we won't know until we play it, but just on the surface, it sounds good.
I mean, this is a shock to me, genuinely. I did not see this one coming at all, and I have to stick my thumbs up at it. I think this is only going to improve the tactical flow of Trials games. We've all seen it. I mean, this is not just our own experiences. This is on streams where there's people that are 10 times better the player than I am, and we're watching these revives just pop up and... You know, after a time and time again, especially on maps like Frontier, that's a revivaholic map. You know, I've watched some really hard, skillful work be undone multiple times, and then another clutch. So it basically just introduces more chances for more clutches, and it's kind of like a bit, I don't know, stale, I think. So definite thumbs up for me on that one.
Yeah. Rewards are going to get a little bit better. Increased legendary drops across the board for all Crucible modes.
Thank fudge for that.
Yeah,
because they're
thank you, God.
Terrible. I've seen these party crashers that can like snipe people from ridiculous ranges, and I've had one of them since the Taken King. One.
That's one more than me. In 6 months, I've never gotten one to drop.
I mean, it's silly as well, because like with the right roll on them, they are clearly the top tier shotguns, but like they don't drop. And the drop that I got, it had no range increase or anything. It was like dry rot but worse. So it was 3 legendary marks and a bit of glimmer for myself.
This one's new. Shaxx, though, his weekly bounties, if you decide to level up that quest, that can now drop 335 gear.
Really?
Yeah, which is just another way to get 335.
Oh wow. I wonder what the drop rates are going to be on that, because like I remember the first time I cashed in one of those bounties and I had a 310 Mask of the Third Man out of it. I was really shocked. So
yeah, that's pretty nice.
Nothing now though. You cash them in now. I think I'm lucky to get a mothball and a fart. I think.
I'd be willing to have, not a great drop on 335, like light level, as long as the drops are coming constantly, and every once in a while you get a high level light drop. Like, it doesn't have to be every time.
Yeah, man.
The Trials treasure chest will also be a source for potential 335 gear. But the Trials bounties will only drop up to 330.
Well, that's better than a 310 or a 320 stuff. I mean, it's close enough. I think that you do have to separate the top shelf stuff. The top banana stuff does have to be separated. And coming from a Trials chest, that's damn tootin'. If you've opened that Lighthouse chest, you deserve something good.
Absolutely. The Iron Banner will no longer drop legendary engrams at all. It's all going to be replaced by Iron Banner gear. So instead of getting a legendary drop at the end of your match, if you were supposed to get a legendary engram, it'll be replaced by Iron Banner gear.
Good.
Which is nice.
Yeah, because it was terrible. Like, I got 3 characters to rank 5. this Iron Banner, and there was one legendary item that dropped in game, and that was it was a 310 chest piece. I'm not going to moan at that, but that was the only drop that I got in game across 3 characters at rank 5, and that's a bit pitiful, really.
Yeah, I was really hoping to farm for that new hand cannon.
Yeah.
And I never got a single drop on that hand cannon.
Yeah.
I was really pissed off about it.
And well,
the gear can drop up to 335 too.
Yeah, but that's good. That's what Iron Banner is tough. It's one of them things that you have to tolerate because it's very fast. It's very frantic, and we're back again to the whole matchmaking situation. And that's the one thing that I haven't heard anything about, and I'm assuming that they didn't mention anything about matchmaking and stuff. So Iron Banner was like it was a big highlight for me and how bad the matchmaking's got. And I strongly believe that Bungie don't know how badly broken it is at the moment. I'm not just talking about...
Well, I'll tell you this. I played a lot of Iron Banner this week, and at the beginning of the week, it was bad as I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
But by the end of the week, I was getting into good matches, with a low lag. It felt good.
I think my issue with it was... connections did seem better. I didn't see as many red bars that were completely invincible. I did see a few green bars that were like exhibiting red bar characteristics. Mm-hmm. But largely speaking, I think that lag was reduced in my experiences, and I didn't enable the features of my NetDoomer for any of it. I wanted to try things out as it was without any influence from NetDoomer. Not that the NetDoomer really does that much anyway when you have it activated. But the thing that I really felt with the matchmaking is it's not just the skill-based side of it that has like a massive impact. It's the fact that the win-lose ratio percentages are being messed with. So you get a lot of games where it'll be yourself and maybe one other player of equal skill, and you're on a team of 4 people of lesser skill. And then, of course, you're on a team... It's obviously the win-lose ratio for the other team to win. So you just basically put into a match that is unwinnable. You can't win it on your own. You can't really win it with one other teammate unless you're in a party chat with them and you're really, really trying hard. And there was just too many of those situations with it. And I really wish that they would pay more attention to it, because the figure is 60%, isn't it? We want to make sure that everyone's getting about 60% wins. It's not like that at the moment. It's more like 20 or 30%.
Well, it really pays to play with a group in Iron Banner. It really pays off.
Totally.
It's your win percentage skyrockets.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people like to play it solo, and I think that it should be an accessible game mode solo. I'm all fighting folks' corner with the whole solo thing. Yeah, I mean...
It is accessible solo, but you got to understand that if you're not communicating with your teammates and you're playing a team that is, then you're going to lose.
Oh, yeah.
You have to understand that.
Totally.
As a rational human being,
yeah,
right?
Man. Absolutely. Absolutely. And teamwork and communication is the most overpowered thing that you'll get in a multiplayer, but there's a lot of folk out there... Yeah. There's a lot of folk that like to play it solo, and, I would say 80% of the time because I played the whole of Iron Banner solo, and 80% of the time I was playing against solo folk. There was a couple of times where I'm thinking this match is incredibly hard to win, and I brought up the scoreboard and had a look at the roster, and I'm against a team of 6, and they're all Crucible devils. So yes, another medallion for me here. So it's good to see that the loot system is being changed, because it is a grind, it is a slog, and I would say largely it's not the most pleasant of PvP modes, and it never really has been for me. So having much better loot and an increase of the loot, I think, is really important. Hey Fitzy did another spreadsheet. He played 250 games of Iron Banner, and the actual measliness of the loot drops were uncanny. He posted that all on Reddit.
It's bad.
It was
it's
terrible.
Bad in there.
Yeah, man.
Speaking of weapons, though, we're going to see quite a few weapon balance changes. There's going to be a full write-up coming with really detailed statistics, but the highlights are high rate of fire auto rifles are getting a slight damage nerf, and low rate of fire auto rifles are getting a damage buff.
Thumbs up.
Pasuro's regime is coming back.
Yeah, thumbs up for that, because the Doctrine of Passing was an obnoxious thing to go up against. The spray from Doctrine of Passing.
See, I completely disagree. I think the Doctrine of Passing should be their model moving forward. Like, that is the time to kill that I want to see out of primary weapons. And I think that takes some of the allure of the special weapons. These guys run around with shotgun only, sniper only. It takes some of that allure away, and it gives you a fighting chance when you're using a primary. So, yeah, the Doctrine is kind of powerful in regards to other primaries, but I feel like I'd like to see the other primaries kind of come up to that time to kill rather than the Doctrine get moved backward.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I just think that with things like the Doctrine, it's because it's a constant spray and there's so much ammo. People were just winning a little too many gunfights just by hosing people down, and I like the whole reward for aiming for the head, which Destiny promotes. Like Crucible does promote aiming for the head. However, you don't really need to with guns like that. So it was just a cheap nail in the coffin for me. And I thought, well, we want weapons that kind of increase the skill gap, not like kind of loosen it like a belt around a big fat belly kind of thing. So I'm quite happy about the changes to the high rate of fire. I can't talk. Auto rifles. I think that was
this next one's got me really concerned. The pulse rifles. Speaking of can't talk, the low rate of fire pulse rifles are getting a base damage increase, which means they will be more capable of 2 burst headshot kills, which makes them very powerful.
Yeah, that's odd, because I didn't know there was any changes to pulse rifles. I was hoping for not necessarily a range increase, but doing something that they were nerfed way too hard, weren't they, on the last weapons update? They were really seriously powerful before, especially things like Reflection Sum and Hawksaw and what's the other one? We've got this PDX 45. Nerwin's Mercy. That's the ticket, and they just got hit a little bit too hard. So the range on them was really too much before, I think. So maybe the damage buff was a good idea, but it all depends on how much, because we don't want them too heavy again, because that's, I think, one of the crux of the issues at the moment is a lot of weapons just kill too quickly. But I also agree with your angle on it as well. If the primary weapons don't kill quick enough, then what does that do? It promotes the whole special as primary thing a lot more, which is that's probably a bigger problem, isn't it, really, than how quick primary weapons are knocking people down.
Yeah, I mean, shotguns I feel like are pretty good right now. We're going to talk about fusion rifles later, sniper rifles again later. So if they're pulling back on special, then yeah, we can get a slower time to kill. Like if they're targeting like a 0.9 second time to kill, which I think is what they're looking at, like, yeah, then you got to pull back on the Doctrine, which is like a 0.8 second time to kill.
Yeah.
That's fine. 0.9 second is fine. Hand cannons are getting increased ammo inventory, so they'll now be useful, which is nice.
Yeah, man.
I think that'll be more helpful in PvE. I rarely run out of ammo in PvP. I guess I do with the last word, but this is huge for PvE.
Yeah, man. I mean, that was another classic example of a weapon that just got bopped too hard with the nerf hammer. Legendaries. I mean, exotics are a different story, although Hawkmoon, we'll come to that in a minute, because that was one of the other little gems that I saw on my Twitter feed. Hawkmoon getting a buff, and that was my all-time first Destiny love. So that one definitely got me stripping off and dancing naked.
Yeah, I was happy to see that they're keeping the size of the magazines intact.
Yes.
That's nice to me.
Yeah. Hawkmoon doesn't need an ammo increase, really. He just needed, like, range increase and maybe a bit more of an accuracy increase, and then we're talking slight French fry stuff. But yeah, hand cannons needed it, man. They really did need it. It's nice to see that they got a bit of TLC. I'm still shocked about the pulse rifle stuff, though. I honestly thought that wouldn't get touched at all, so that's interesting.
I don't like it. I don't like the pulse rifle thing, because that makes those low rate of fire pulse rifles are, I think, one of the hardest weapons to balance in this game, because if you allow them to have a 2 burst headshot kill, that puts them in like a 0.4, 0.5 second time to kill. It's really fast.
I'm with you on that.
If it's a 3 burst, then it's like all of a sudden it's like 1.2 seconds or it's very slow. It's like it's so hard to balance those.
At this point, I'm thinking that those kind of pulse rifles are going to be immediately king of the hill. Just from hearing that, without even playing it, that's my number one suspicion now. That's going to be the go-to weapon for all the serious competitive stuff.
Seriously, I wouldn't be surprised. We'll see, but I wouldn't be surprised. Fusion rifles are getting a blanket stability increase, less severe kick, and tighter grouping. From the gameplay they were showing on the stream, it looked like these things were going to be usable.
Right.
We've
Usable
been told
or
this before.
Annoying. Is that the thing? Because like I went up against a guy in Rumble the other day with Ash Raven's Flight, and I checked his stats out. Not that stats mean much at all. I just wanted to see where he was at because he was destroying everybody. So I naturally thought this guy's going to have a really high skill rating, but he wasn't. He was like on paper he was not as padded out as I was, and I'm mediocre at best. So I thought, this fusion rifle must be the king of all fusion rifles. And I got one in Iron Banner, I just haven't had the chance to try it out yet. So, interesting one with fusion rifles. It's the thing that I'm worried about with them is one-hit kills from the distances that they're effective at is going to be, I don't know, that just smacks of going to be seriously frustrating to me. But again, it's one of them things that you probably just have to try and see, test the water, dip the toe in and see what the water's like.
I used to think fusion rifles were really fun. Now, they were overpowered when vanilla Destiny, like right at the beginning, they were overpowered.
Yeah, those are the days
because they're so unique to Destiny. You don't see weapons like this in other games.
Yeah.
So it's not. I'd like to see Destiny embrace the fusion rifle because it's a fun gun to use. That delay makes it a tactical weapon. I want to see fusions make a comeback. I'm hoping that this is going to give them that.
That would make.
I don't want to be overpowered, but I want to be usable.
That would make a great T-shirt. That would make embrace the fusion, and just have a dude cuddling a fusion rifle.
All right, here's where the big stuff happens.
Yes,
sniper rifles.
Diddle-a-dee. I saw
all
this.
All three of the close range zoom scopes, namely the ambush, the short gaze, and the long view. I think it's called the long view SLR-10. They're all getting basically an increase to their magnification. So they're not going to be as usable at close range. They're also getting a 2-frame increased zoom time. That's the ADS speed, the time it takes to actually raise the gun up to your face. Snapshot is getting a nerf from a 30% boost to a 20% boost in ADS speed, and stability is getting decreased across the board.
Oh. So this really shocked me, because if anything, my guess was they really need to sort out the whole aim assist thing. And there's been a lot of controversy. There's two arguments to the aim assist debate, and that is that it doesn't exist and that it does exist. I'm in the it does exist fence. I noticed when the Taken King came out that something was very, very different to how it was in House of Wolves. In particular, drag scoping and quick scoping. It seemed like there was an increase, like a big, hefty increase in aim assist, and just from watching folks stream, it was just like a massive increase for me, and I noticed it and I felt it, and I honestly thought that it wasn't going to get changed. So hearing this and these changes, this is probably the most intelligent thing that I've seen the PvP team attempt.
It seems like a reasonable response, right?
Yeah, it's not only just a reasonable response, but I would actually say that that's quite ingenious. You know, I can hear the snipers, the big sniping fans go, "No, burn him alive now!" You know, because there's a lot of salty snipers out there. But like, yes, it looks impressive. It looks so impressive doing a quick 180 and getting this ridiculous quick scope on someone. It's montage material. It's congratulations, you've got a gold medal in the montage. Amazing. But in terms of gameplay, I think it's just absurd. You know, it looks really impressive, cool. We like to do impressive stuff, but there's a festoonery of amazing, you know, impressive stuff in Destiny. I think if anything, a reduction in them is a good thing, and these changes to sniping is only going to improve the gameplay, in my opinion. Especially if shotguns are not being buffed to a point where they're going to be king again. So if shotguns are staying where they are, this is happening to sniper rifles, then for me, it doesn't matter if they bring back special ammo on spawn, because this is clever.
Oh, I think I forgot to mention that. They are bringing back special ammo on spawn.
I might have jumped the gun. It might have been the next bit, but there we go. Special ammo back on spawn.
Special ammo boxes are going to come in later at 3 minutes, and then every 2 minutes after that. However, the weapons that allow you to regen your own special ammo, namely Icebreaker and the sidearms, if you transfer to a different weapon, that ammo doesn't carry over.
Right. That's good.
Fixed.
Good, yeah, because that was ridiculous, seeing the whole sidearm thing, you know, and exploit. Yeah, we don't need that.
No.
And it also renders using Icebreaker a bit pointless now as well, which that was kind of messed up. A bit of a backwards way to kind of fix stuff, but the fact that now sniping isn't going to be this montage absurdity of Monty Python-esque business going on, then I'm all up for that. That really did fill me with love and honey and special juices.
Yeah, I think sniping should be a high risk, high reward activity, and it should reward those who are skilled at it. And it's
bring the skill,
more of the skill.
Yeah,
you know?
Bring the skill back to sniping. In every other FPS game that we've played in the last decade, sniping takes a serious amount of patience and confidence and skill. Whereas with this, horrendous quick scoping capabilities, and the quick no scope and stuff, and the fact that, you slow the footage down that you've just watched, and you're like, that headshot was nowhere near his head. It wasn't even anywhere near the penis or the, it wasn't even in the tits. It wasn't. It was like way off the top of the head, all the way over to the left by a clear inch, and still there was this insane headshot pulled off. So, thumbs up. I think I'm not, I don't want to be too quick giving massive round of applause over, but that one gets my vote. I'm really happy with that. Astounded, in fact, I think.
Mida Multi-Tool, they're removing the high caliber rounds perk. I wonder what they're going to replace it with, but
I agree that I started calling multi-mida tool the multi-scrub spam because I was getting so frustrated with that, in the amount of it in the Crucible. It was just, spam DMR stuff. It was the same when DMRs were a problem in Battlefield 4. It wasn't really rewarding the aim so much as just body shot, couple in the leg, dead. So I'm not sure how much the whole removing high caliber rounds is going to affect that, but I'm hoping it does. And bring the skill back to the Mida tool, because it was a skillful weapon. It was an art.
I think the reason the Mida Multi-Tool was so popular was because sniping is so popular, and it was a
counter to it.
Yeah, it was a counter sniper weapon, and that high caliber rounds, that's what did it, know. So I don't know, if these sniping fixes work to lessen the effectiveness of snipers, then I'm okay with the high caliber rounds being gone, but we'll see.
Yeah, man. I think these are intelligent changes. I think they've really thought about these ones. I mean, of course, there's a load of stuff that's been left out and people are just really stumped and scratching their heads. But these are good changes. This gives me a bit of faith, in all honesty, that they are actually thinking about, okay, how do we fix this? This is like a think tank's gone on. They're actually sitting down and using the noggins. So this is definitely giving me faith. In fact, nearly to the point of last year when we had all the problems we had with Crucible, and then they hit us with the House of Wolves setup, and I was like, wow, they've thought about Crucible. Properly.
Well, this seems like they're tweaking a formula that is working to me.
Yeah.
I believe that the Crucible we have now is the best weapon balance we've had since this game was released, and now it feels like they're tweaking it further. Yeah. And if they continue to do so, at some point we'll get to the point where it doesn't matter what weapon archetype you're using. If it has good perks, it can be a good weapon in the Crucible.
Yeah, man.
That's the dream, right?
Yeah. And having not just exotics being the only thing, because here's another big problem that I'm hoping that gets fixed with this April update, is that if you're a newcomer to the game, I feel for you because it's hard. It's seriously hard. I've been using my alternate account for the last couple of weeks, and I'm not even exaggerating. No primary exotic engrams have dropped, and this is not just happening with me. This is happening with a lot of other beginners as well. I've been asking people on Twitter to fill me in. Have you started playing Destiny within the last, couple of months? And are you finding there's a massive shortage? And I'm getting numerous responses saying, yeah, man, 3F coins are being used. Raids are being played, nightfalls are being done, and there's no exotic primary weapon engrams dropping. And if you want to play Trials, you're screwed without a Last Word or Mida or the top tier stuff. You're absolutely screwed. There's some good,
much harder.
Yeah, there's like I've been using a PDX 45 with I can't remember what it's got on it now. I think it's basic head seeker and hand laid stock. It's not like a god roll, but it's good enough. But man, going up against multi scrub spam and Last Words, it's just not pleasant at all.
The Service Regime is getting a damage buff with all low rate of fires, but they've made a couple of adjustments to the Service Regime itself. Spinning up will now kick in later. That's the new perk for year 2 on the Service Regime. And Focus Fire actually gives you a range buff. So now the Service Regime can have maxed out range.
Okay.
This is a little concerning for those who remember when the Service Regime reigned supreme.
When it was the Suros Banner or the Iron Regime, I remember it. Yeah, it was boring. It was just too much. I think that's maybe not such an intelligent change, but again, we're going to have to play that to see whether it is back to those days, because I really wouldn't want a repeat of those days, because that was...
I wouldn't mind to see the gun be viable.
Yeah, viable, if definitely.
If that gets us there, I'm okay.
Yeah, but
I don't want to see it become the overpowered gun it used to be.
Yeah, man. Like you were saying with the fusion rifles, like we don't want a repeat of those days, because the fusion rifles, as you said, they're unique to the game. I feel that way about hand cannons as well. Like, yeah, we've got the things like the Deagle in Battlefield, or we did have the Deagle before it got nerfed, but hand cannons are a really fresh thing for me, and that's why I've always been drawn to them.
Hawkmoon's coming back, baby.
Yes, that was my first love. I remember playing on Xbox for a little while, and then I got a PlayStation. And I was like, oh wow, you can get special weapons on PlayStation. I didn't agree with it, but I thought this Hawkmoon thing looks great. I played for 3.5 months before that baby landed, and it was on a nightfall the day before I flew out to the UK to visit my mum and dad, so I only got to play with it for a couple of hours. But when it dropped in the nightfall, I ululated like a baboon. I'd never made a noise like that in my life. I was so happy.
It's addressing the biggest problem Hawkmoon has right now. It's getting a range buff.
Thank God.
This is going to be very similar to the year 1 Hawkmoon that we all fell in love with. Xbox users should be elated about this, because they're finally going to get the real Hawkmoon. This thing is going to be a Crucible monster and a PvE monster.
Yeah, man. I'm happy about that. I really am. Like, even because they fixed the whole luck in the chamber thing the last time. That was in a good spot, and I'm not hearing or seeing anything about that being changed. That's in a good spot, even though it's RNG, and RNG in competitive multiplayers isn't, the best, model to follow. But these changes are good. I like this very much. I'm happy, and I tweeted out as soon as I heard about it. I was like, right, I'm gonna have to get naked right now.
Right now.
Yeah, right now in the middle of the gig, and rub my nipples.
The Last Word, reducing damage of the Last Word perk. So just the damage boost you get from that Last Word perk. So it's no longer going to be capable of a 2-shot kill.
Right.
Which is great.
Well,
the Last Word will still be that gunslinger weapon.
Yeah.
But it'll always require at least 3 shots to kill.
And this actually won't affect me, because I never, ever hip-fired with it. I had so many comments in my video, because it was one of my favourite guns ever. Loved it, loved the design, loved the colour. I loved the way it smelled. I loved the way it tasted. Absolutely loved this weapon. But I always ADS'd with it. And I had comments in my videos going, don't you hip-fire? Don't you realise you'll kill them quicker if you hip-fire? And I'm like, I don't know what it is. It's built into my genes. I have to hip-fire with it. So this nerf won't affect me at all. I'll still use it, and I'll still feel at home with it, I think.
It'll still be a good weapon. It just won't be that 2-shot, like that insta-kill weapon that it occasionally is.
And it shouldn't be that way anyway. I think slightly drawing out time to kills with all weapons, I would be thumbs up for that, because when you start getting things that kill that quickly, it does introduce a lot of balancing issues, and it could be one of the reasons why, we've had such long drawn out, instances with the whole weapon balance issues.
Thorn is going to remain a year 1 weapon. It's not getting the year 2 update yet, but they are making some significant changes to it. They're reducing the number of damage over time ticks. That's like, you get hit by it and you start ticking off health. They're reducing the number of those from 6 to 4, and they're also decreasing the time between ticks, so it actually happens much, much faster.
Okay.
And they're reducing the visual damage over time effect for the affected player. So that green, messy screen that you get when you get shot by Thorn, that's going to get a reduced visual effect. They're claiming that the damage over time will rarely kill anymore, and the gun is no longer capable of 3-shot body shot kills.
Oh, good. Because that 3-shot body shot stuff was again, spam. The rewarding the whole spamming of stuff without really having to, like, aim too much for the head. That was the issue that I was having, and of course the damage over time. So maybe this is going to stop it from plaguing the Crucible as much, the regular Crucible, because whenever I pop into Rumble or a quick game of skirmish,
all over Rumble.
it's like, oh god. And a lot of the pulse rifles that I've been using can just shred a Thorn user that hasn't got a good enough aim. But if you get this is the thing about having things in it that in the game that can kind of kill that quickly is when really good players use them. And I think this is what a lot of multiplayers suffer from. It's like, well, we have to have mechanics available to get quick kills for the newcomer or the casual or the not so skilled. We need things in there to get instant gratification for the people that aren't able or aren't willing to invest lots of time improving at the multiplayer. Which I agree with that. This game Destiny's for everybody. It's not just for the elite of the FPS. The problem is when you have mechanics and weapons in place like that, is when really good players pick them up. That's when it becomes like a big problem.
Yeah, when you're able to exploit them.
Yeah. And that's when, you've got some serious issues, and that's when things start to get a bit lame. So these changes to Thorn, again, thumbs up on that one from me, heartily.
I'm actually a big Thorn fan because of the lore and because of the model of the weapon and because how cool and unique the weapon is. I got so sick of seeing that gun in the last summer when Trials of Osiris was new. That it was really disappointing because to me it's one of the coolest guns in Destiny and everybody hates on it. So hopefully, Thorn can move past this. Hopefully we'll see a year 2 version of Thorn that's not completely broken.
Yeah, man.
And can be an enjoyable weapon.
I'm right with you. Like the quest, but this is back when it was only available in the exotic bounty. Just the things that you had to go through to get that gun and how cool it looked, how cool it sounded, and the lore behind it as well. That super excellent touches to the game.
Yeah.
But then it was completely shat upon by the fact that it was the king of the hill for so long, and it was just dropped way too quickly. And Trials and Crucible was just an epidemic this time last year, wasn't it? Or was just a bit later than this time last year.
Icebreaker also going to remain year 1 for the time being, but now you'll lose ammo when you switch away from it. The handling speed of the weapon has been slowed, and the zoom distance has been lengthened. So it's going to be much more of a long-range weapon.
And by the sounds of it, much more PvE oriented.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they nerfed Icebreaker back in 2.0.
Yeah.
And this is a continual thing for this weapon. Sidearms, when swapped to another weapon, you lose ammo. We talked about that before.
Yeah, man.
The total ammo you can carry for heavies, snipers, shotguns, any special or heavy is going to be reduced, and this is across the board for PvP and PvE. In PvE, they're saying there's going to be more ammo bricks that will drop to compensate, which I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
But this is very concerning for PvE players.
Yeah. I mean, heavy ammo in multiplayer is probably one of it's one of those like the biggest gripes. And,
that guy who's got the heavy machine gun, and it seems like he's got it for the entire match.
Oh, you do.
Hopefully, this will pull back on that.
Yeah, like if you're good with an LMG, or if you even slightly campy, even it doesn't matter. You can be good or a camper.
You just hide for a minute while the rockets get expelled.
Yeah,
and then you can just wipe up,
reap the benefits, and that can turn games. And I understand that there's a lot of folk at Bungie that have a burning love affair with heavy ammo. It just doesn't work very well in a lot of the game modes. Control 6v6s have all the heavy ammo that you can get your grubby little bits on. That's fine. But it's when I think it really negatively impacts the gameplay is in 3v3.
So this is a good
things.
change, I think, for PvP. But for PvE, it's straight awful. Like, it's really bad.
Yeah.
So they're saying that there's going to be more ammo bricks that are going to drop. There better be, because there's plenty of times with the way it currently is that I am desperate to have some special ammo or some heavy ammo for the Oryx fight or something like that.
Yeah, and it just does not drop.
It just won't drop.
Yeah.
It won't drop. So I'm using special synth, but then I run into the timer. Oh man! So I really hope they're not kidding around about more bricks will drop.
Yeah, but maybe it should have been accompanied with a little price reduction in heavy ammo synth from Xur and possibly the gunsmith. I mean, I've never understood why the gunsmith is selling heavy ammo for like 950 glimmer.
It's expensive.
Yeah, man. It doesn't make that economy. It doesn't make any sense. I'm not voting for whoever's president of this world again.
The Drake's Promise is getting changes to it. The projectiles will now track. So this gun still isn't going to be a hit scan. Your bullets are still going to have travel time. Mm-hmm. But they're actually going to track your target. So you have to be aiming at the target. And if you are, when you pull the trigger, most likely your bullets will land. So it'll effectively act like a hit scan weapon, even though your bullets do have travel time.
Yeah, an auto-aim pistol. Kind of like Titanfall. Maybe not as bad as Titanfall, but
yeah, I don't think it's quite as bad as Titanfall.
it's ebbing towards that. But I actually really like Drake's Promise.
I do too. It
before
was one of my favorite weapons.
I went ham with that thing on the right map.
Assuming you had a good connection too.
Yes. Well,
because the thing about my non-hit-scan weapons in this game is they're completely unreliable.
Yeah.
That's one of the problems with fusion rifles too.
Yeah.
But they're completely unreliable if you don't have a good connection.
Yeah. And if the other
Telesto is getting smarter. So the Telesto projectiles that stick can now detect friendly players and a friendly Ward of Dawn. So you can actually stick Telesto shots onto a friendly player, have them run into a room and explode.
Oh my god.
And they'll also stick to a Ward of Dawn, making your Ward of Dawn basically have explosive projectiles stuck to the outside of it or the inside.
You could just tell that someone at Bungie's really laughing inside.
I think this is kind of a fun change.
Yeah, I mean, there's a tactical element to that. We'll see how annoying it gets, I guess. And if I'm pretty sure if it was super annoying, then they'd probably change it. But I don't know. I'm actually looking forward to trying that out. So
yeah, I'm totally want to do a trials run where we have two guys with a Telesto, shoot one guy, and have him just run at the enemy team and see if we can get a kill.
I might actually be able to sneak my dad in for a game of trials. He can be the bait, the one that we sticky the purple stuff to.
It's like our own personal suicide bomber in Trials of Osiris.
Oh my god, the political correctness is screaming. But yeah.
So we talked about snipers. The 1,000-yard stare got singled out. Besides the sniper nerfs, it's the most equipped special weapon in the history of Destiny. So that was a stat they threw out there. They're actually going to remove a couple bullets from the inventory. Besides the special weapon nerf that we're seeing, besides the sniper rifle nerf, this one's getting singled out. Also, it's going to have the stronger scope of the other snipers. So this one gun gets singled out, which was kind of surprising.
Well, I think I have to agree with that because, if it's the most used one, it's because it was easily one of the best snipers that we've seen in the game.
I think it's hard to argue the fact that it is the best sniper we've ever seen in this game.
And there are so many different variations of sniper. Yeah, I think you do have to address that. And if it was the single most equipped special in the history of Destiny, as well as the fact that there were massive changes to sniping. Sniping was made easier with the Taken King. I'm not willing to debate that with anybody. It was made far more accessible. So again, when someone's equipping that all the time, yeah, I agree with the changes. And we'll have to see what the longbow and all the old year one weapons that are returning, what are they going to be like? Is it just going to be replaced with something as equally as good? Or is there going to be a blanket altercation, an alteration with those?
We'll have to see.
Yeah.
The King's Fall weapons are getting a little bit of a tweak. The Quilm's Terminus, the only good King's Fall weapon, is getting reduced ammo inventory. There's going to be a global reload speed increase on all King's Fall weapons. So if you watch the Prison of Elders or the Challenge of Elders stream, one of the guys in there was using the hand cannon, which is awful right now.
Yeah, and there were comments.
But it seemed like the reload speed had been increased. It looks like that's going to be the case. Also, the Anguish of Dristan, which is the auto rifle, got a stability boost, which is basically what it needed.
Yeah, exactly what it needed.
So those weapons could actually be a little bit better. I don't think they're going to be exciting, but they could be at least better.
I loved the Smite of Merain pulse rifle. I went in Crucible when pulse rifles were silly powerful before the nerf. The Smite of Merain was my go-to. It just, that kick upwards would guarantee that I would get a headshot, and then I had Firefly in it, and then the enemy would explode.
And the sight was very easy to use.
It was beautiful.
Yeah,
I always wanted it, instead of it being a full circle, though, I really wanted it to be like a half thingy instead. I think that would have been a little bit better, but I'm glad I 320'd mine. My white one, I haven't got the harrowed one. I 320'd it. It's got Firefly in it. I'm going to keep it, and I'm hoping that I can use that for things like trials and stuff like that, because I loved the look of it, the sound of it, everything was good. So I'm happy, because the King's Fall raid weapons do need to be up there. They need to be desired, but then they also need to tweak the drop rates.
Well,
just
especially since the King's Fall raid weapons are going to be the only raid weapons we get all year.
Yeah. So
they ought to be fucking good.
Yeah. And I want more of them. I want an incentive to go back and grind all Oryx. I'm not done with the Oryx raid yet. I hadn't got to the point where I found it boring. What was getting annoying for me was the drop rates. It's like, I enjoy this raid, but I don't enjoy being shafted.
I don't enjoy being hit on the head when it's over.
Yeah, man. Like, I remember it was doing the raid for 2 months and literally getting the same things, not just the same guns, but with precisely the same useless rolls on them.
Yeah. Well, you talk about your Smite of Merain with Firefly. I've done the raid, I don't know how many times. Never gotten that. Never gotten the Smite with Firefly.
Doesn't surprise me. I mean, I felt so lucky when I got that. It's the only decent raid weapon that's dropped for me. Yeah. Harrowed Defiance of Aim Assist, no chance. Not even. Always the machine gun, and always with the worst possible perks on there. The hand cannon has only dropped for me once, and it was terrible, so I got rid of it.
It is awful.
Yeah.
It's a cool looking weapon.
Yeah.
I like the reload. It's kind of similar to Drake's Promise, where you kind of break the weapon in half and reload it from the middle. Yeah, it's cool, but it just is useless.
Yeah, man, and I'm hoping that is viable again. I want to go back into that raid wanting to get that gun and feeling happy that I've got it if it's good, obviously. So that's 100% good news for me. I'm really glad that they fixed that, that fixed raid weapons. That smells like they might be a lot more desirable again.
Yeah. Warlocks. So Warlocks are getting toyed with quite a bit here. Let's start with the Sunsingers. Sunsingers are getting a lowered amount of flame shield. Like, the shield itself is going to be less durable. So when you use the flame shield, it's not going to be as powerful. An increased cooldown, so it's going to take longer to get it. The Solar Wind is going to have a reduced cooldown, and Brimstone is going to have increased power. So there's going to be more reasons to use something besides flame shield.
This
Fireborn.
is good.
This is good. This is really good. Fireborn doesn't last as long, so this is the perk that everybody uses. There's now going to be increased reasons to not use Fireborn and to instead use some of the other forms of that super. You get more grenades if you're not running Fireborn, and you'll get some team buffs, which that'll be interesting to see what those are going to be.
Yeah.
So those are good changes, but the big one is Firebolt grenades. That's what everybody talks about when they talk about nerfing Sunsingers, and they're being completely left alone and unchanged.
Yeah.
Viking Funeral, Firebolt grenades are still going to work, and they're still going to be overpowered.
And what I was seeing on Twitter is it's like, why is that not being touched? And apparently the answer to that was because it's very complicated.
That's not a good enough reason. I'm sorry, it's just not a good enough reason.
If you can do it to Thorn, you can do it to the Firebolts.
Yeah. If you can do it to Arc Bolt, you can do it to Firebolt.
Yeah, I mean, they're the fucking same grenade. This one's blue and the other one's orange.
Right.
They're identical. I don't get it. But I also think that because a Sunsinger, its super is its grenades. So if you're nerfing the grenades, then you aren't, in fact, nerfing the super, which I think I would have liked to have seen it happen and for us to actually try it and sandbox it and then make a decision on whether it needed to be, like rebuffed. Because that would have been a promising change. And the fact that it's not even being experimented on, it's another one that fits in the category of, are you thinking about what you're doing?
They increase they lowered the amount of time you take damage over time from Thorn. They lowered the amount of damage the damage over time does. Why don't they just do that with Viking Funeral?
Yeah.
Just do the exact same change.
Yeah. Everything else is great. Like the Flame Shield thing was just stupid, especially in Trials. It's just retarded, So that's... Yeah, I'm a little confused at that, but at the same time, it's like they got 3/4 of the way there. It's like you nearly got a bullseye, but then no,
nope.
No.
In fact, you hit the guy standing next to the dartboard.
Yeah, he's got one eye and he's angry.
He's very angry.
Yeah, but so have we had any other changes to the other?
Yeah, Stormcaller. The landfall no longer destroys a Ward of Dawn. It's less powerful, and the perks are less effective at making it last longer. So the Tickle Fingers is really getting pulled back on.
Right.
Which is good. No change that I saw to the melee for the Stormcaller. But if they're pulling back on that super, I'm okay with them having like a really good melee, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think I am as well. I never felt that Stormcallers were as overpowered as some felt they were. I always felt too flimsy. Whenever I popped that super, I felt like a piece of tissue soaked in kerosene. Like I was going to just go poof with one sniper hit or whatever. I know it lasted too long. It lasted a ridiculous amount of time with Transcendency, wasn't it? So I don't disagree with it, but yeah, give them the long snipey melee. Give them it.
And the Voidwalker got some buffs. So Nova Bomb's completely unaffected, but melees and grenades will do more to heal yourself and will do more to charge more melees and more grenades. So it's just going to be kind of this vampiric thing, just working overdrive to constantly be providing you with more melees, more grenades, and more health. And when you do get that health regen bonus from a melee, that is going to actually happen faster. Right now, there's a delay before it kicks in. It's going to start immediately now, so you'll immediately be ready to get back into the action.
Yeah, this is good. Because, not that Voidwalkers weren't good, but now it's a bit more in line with the other classes, because they weren't getting as much love. How often did you get killed by a Voidwalker in Crucible these days?
Not too often.
Yeah.
Once Blink Shotgunning got nerfed, it's really not as popular as it used to be.
And a well-placed Nova Bomb that promotes a lot of saltiness.
It's one of the most fun supers in the game to use.
Yeah, man. And with Lance...
Now that they've nerfed Sunbreakers into complete...
That's a point. Is Sunbreakers getting any love?
No work on Sunbreakers. Nothing in the...
Nothing on
in
Titans.
The
okay.
Yeah. So that's it. That's everything.
That's everything.
I think for the most part, it's pretty positive. I know that snipers are going to be upset.
Yeah.
People are upset that Sunsingers aren't getting that.
I'm a little upset about
nerf.
the matchmaking not getting a mention, because I honestly do believe that the win-lose preservation as well as the matchmaking is a bit broken at the moment, as well as the drop rates for exotic primaries. But maybe with this April update, it's going to throw everything into a different percentage. We'll have to test it out and see. But
I honestly thought we were going to see a new game mode announced. I really thought.
And the custom games, the rumors that were flying around about that as well.
No way we're going to get custom games, right?
Yeah.
I had no no thought in my mind that we're going to get custom games. I've heard that enough from Bungie that, maybe if we're lucky, we'll see that in Destiny 2 at this point.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe a new game mode, maybe a capture the flag or something along those lines, like just something new.
I mean,
but nothing, no
as
mention.
much as a new game mode would be nice, I'm glad that they focused on actual fixes rather than introducing another mode that was just going to, exhibit all the frustrating problems that, we're experiencing. I mean, there's still going to be a lot of frustrating problems in there. I totally understand and sympathize with the folk that are extremely, disappointed with the update. I'm in the middle. I've been away. I've had a break, so I'm coming back a lot more fresh. I'm enjoying playing at the moment. There's some very annoying and frustrating stuff going on, but I'm enjoying playing it. And by the sounds of this update, I'm going to be enjoying it more.
If you look at it, I think it depends on where you're approaching this from. If you look at it as an update, it's by far the best update we've ever gotten for this game.
Yeah.
Like by far the most extensive update we've ever seen for Destiny.
Totes.
If you look at it as a DLC, which they've never called it, it's by far the most disappointing DLC.
Yeah. Well, there's the thing. Like these free, inverted commas, free updates, with no paid DLC. I'm not convinced with it. I'd rather be paying, $30-$40 for a RAM pack DLC. Than spending money at Eververse and on packages and emotes and things like that. But I guess, I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes over the next year. But I hope with Destiny 2 that they'll go back to the whole DLC shenanigan.
My suspicion is that they want to have Eververse Fun DLC. Because having paid DLC does segment the community in pretty rough ways. Especially, like, Dark Below always kind of surprised me. Why would you have a DLC that is basically necessary to play the game come out right before Christmas?
Yep.
When the SKU on the shelves is still the vanilla game. So people were getting that game for Christmas, right? And couldn't play the bulk of the content in the game. They couldn't play the
planning. It was very poor planning. And,
it really was.
On the fly poor planning, as we've had. That's been a repeating pattern, hasn't it, really, that things have been doing on the fly all the time, that things that are being changed from the very beginning of the game that you think, well, what who's behind the wheel here,
Yeah.
But yeah, all in all though, I have to say, and I'm not being a suck up or anything, that this update has definitely tickled my fancy. All in all, so far, I'm actually looking forward to playing some Crucible after this update lands.
Yeah, April 10th is going to be an exciting day. There's going to be a lot of new stuff to do. I don't know how long it'll last, but April 12th will definitely be an exciting day.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy week next week, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, I mean, if you're following other games too, I mean, it's crazy. The Division's getting a update. We're getting Dark Souls 3 coming out. I think the new Ratchet and Clank game is coming out. It's going to be April 12th. It's like a stacked day in the middle of the spring.
Not going to see my dad then. That's his all-time favorite game ever, Ratchet and Clank.
Is it? It's pretty good. I like those games as well.
He's hammered all of them to death. But yeah, well, I think we've done very well there. We're at close to an hour of chatting time. I think
we knew that the Crucible update was going to be the big one.
Yeah, man. I was stroking my beard in anticipation for this very day, and I'm gonna right now when we wrap this up, I'm gonna go and watch the stream myself, and I'm probably gonna have to both of us tune in to both of us, because there's gonna be more lip flappings about this on our individual channels. There's a lot of stuff to talk and discuss and ponder and pontificate and speculate over,
right?
And until the 12th next week, so stay tuned.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a little while to kind of unpack these
It does,
details,
and
too.
I have to sit there and watch it as well for myself and see what's there. I mean, this is a very comprehensive list that we have here.
Yeah. And it was really kind of sprung on you here.
Yeah, man. Well, it's in birthdays, schmirthdays. I don't love them anymore. I just didn't want to blow off going out on a really nice night with family.
Absolutely.
But thank you very much for filling me in, Brian.
Man.
Yeah, well, thank you. Happy birthday to you too, sir. On our birthday, when it's my birthday, it's everybody's birthday.
All right.
I've always done that. But thank you for filling me in. I'm very, very grateful to you, mate. I'll imagine me stroking your beard in love and everything.
I do every night.
Awesome. Well, that's enough from myself and Briar this evening. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll look forward to chatting with you again. Slap comments. Get a discussion going in the comment section. That's what it's there for. Be nice and courteous. No fighting. Otherwise, I'll come around your house and get naked.
You wouldn't want that. Thanks
No.
for watching, guys. We'll see you later.
See you in a bit.